debris that was strewn over 10 square miles of countryside, and for bodies that were hurled to the ground with it. They found plenty of both. The plane's cockpit crashed into a field beside a small country churchyard, and everywhere evidence of the human tragedy. In Lockerbie itself, evidence of the immense fireball that accompanied the jet as it broke up over the town.
I'm going to express our sorrow and our concern for the families and friends of those who died in the crash of the Pan American Flight 103. There are many difficult aspects to this tragedy, but none so compelling as the anguish of those families who will not have their loved ones with them this Christmas season. Christmas is a special time for the young, for those who carry the twin promises of hopes and dreams. And on this flight were the hopes and dreams of many young people, including the tragic loss of so many students from Syracuse University. A tragedy that steals the hopes and dreams from our society magnifies the loss to our society. I know that America and the world mourn the loss of these wonderful people.
On December 21st, 1988, Pan American Airlines Flight 103 exploded over Lockerbie, Scotland, killing all 259 passengers as well as 11 bystanders. Many of the victims were United States students returning home from a study abroad program in London. Among them were two SUNY Oswego students, Lynn Hartunian and Colleen Brunner. These losses permanently changed the SUNY Oswego community as well as the individuals who were a part of it.
Well, Lynn lived in the same dorm as I did. Colleen, I got to know through sorority, and it was actually Colleen who suggested about studying abroad. Like, she really wanted, that was one of her plans, and so she persuaded me, convinced me to go, and so I didn't think I would ever do anything like that. So she and I roomed together, and we became closer and became, we're really good friends.
Lynn was interested in design. She and Colleen became very close while they were traveling. Colleen was a joy, and she was a regular at the 5 o'clock mass on Saturday night. And we had a rapidee going, and she was very fond of wearing red socks. And I used to tease her and call her Bishop, and we would pick on each other suitably. The Red Sox were on Flight 103. For my 25th anniversary, there was a celebration. I invited Lynn's family and the Hartunians too, and they weren't able to come, but the morning of, a courier arrived the morning of my 25th anniversary. It was an envelope from the Brunners, and there was a note from her mother that said, "You probably don't know this, but these were on the plane and they survived." So, it was a redefining moment.
Muammar Gaddafi, leader of the oppressive Libyan government at the time, ordered the bombing of Pan Am Flight 103 in response to the United States' previous military actions against Libya. Beginning in 1981, the United States began a series of campaigns against Libyan ships and aircrafts in the Gulf of Sidra as a result of territorial disputes there. Throughout the 1980s, the United States continued these confrontations, leading up to the bombing of Gaddafi's compound, killing his daughter.
Today, we have done what we had to do. If necessary, we shall do it again.
Although both al-Megrahi and Khalifa Fhimah were tried for the bombing, the Libyan government refused to take responsibility for the attack. This led to the United States imposing economic sanctions against Libya throughout the 1990s. Only in 2003 did the Libyan government release a formal statement claiming ownership of the attack. The Libyan regime as a whole was responsible. Only 2 people were ever tried for this act of terrorism. 2 Libyans, Abd al-Basit al-Megrahi and Lamine Khalifa Fhimah, hid a suitcase filled with plastic explosives among the luggage on board the plane. While both were tried, only al-Megrahi was ever convicted. And in 2007, al-Megrahi was diagnosed with terminal cancer and released from prison on compassionate grounds. Many United States government officials, such as President Ronald Reagan, argued that the United States had done all it could leading up to and following the attack. Many others believed that not enough had been done.
I think all the precautions that could be taken were taken with regard to warning the airline and all, but
I would say insufficient. I don't think that at the time, again, this is going 30 years back, from what we learned, that there were people who were aware of the terrorist warning on that particular flight, and apparently, I think even in Russia, they had told people like there's a terrorist, like a warning, and there was one student who was on that 12:30 flight who lived, I think, in the Albany area, and there was a diplomat who wound up, like, she got bumped off and got onto the 6:30 flight, and he took her seat because he was aware of this, and so people, I think, should have had the right, the warning or whatever.
Reagan's suggestion, though, is that you care more about the diplomats who you did warn than the American public.
No, that, as I say, I think that would have been a virtually impossible thing to do on the basis of that telephone call. And then when, if ever, would there be a revival on all airlines?
Regardless of how effective the United States government's response was to this attack, the SUNY Oswego community has ensured that it has done all it can to triumph in the face of this tragic loss.
When I was at Oswego, I ate in a different dining hall every night. I called hundreds of students by name. That was the kind of campus it was, and so to have something like Flight 103 affect us, it was a very personal experience for our students.
Their friends have kept their memories alive here. They include them in everything. Class reunion, there's always something about Lynn and Colleen. We've been entrusted with keeping their memories and their legacy alive here. 2 of their other classmates had died on 9/11, and so the 2 groups sort of came together, and that became the Peace, Free, and Easy Memorial, which is just a stunning place on campus now that students visit. It's very visible. The second physical memorial that was created for Lynn and Colleen was a beautiful sculpture that is housed in our campus library that was dedicated, I think, in 1993. And that really has to do with, it symbolizes and represents understanding and the world.
We really had a passion for life on that campus. I think she exemplified it from what I knew her through our group, and so every year in class I try to do a lesson on Armenian culture and Armenian genocide, and because I know it was a passion of hers, and I kind of think about her and kind of try to keep her memory alive with that.
In the memory of Colleen, because she studied in London, as did Lynn, the scholarship goes to a student who is studying in London specifically, and it's for a semester experience. And it has been awarded every year since 1989. So every year we let the family know who the recipient is, and they receive letters from the student who's abroad, as well as pictures. So it's a really nice way to connect the family to current happenings and for them to see how their funds are helping the students today and keeping her spirit alive.
The families of the Pan Am 103 victims, one of their goals was to make air travel safer after that. And that's really when things started. And then it increased after 9/11, where, there's screening and there's much more paying attention to not allowing things like bombs or guns or whatever it is to get onto planes.
A lot of people will say since 9/11, when they talk about things that happened, since 9/11 the world changed. For me and for many of my friends and many of us in the Oswego community, our world changed with Pan Am Flight 103, and I think oftentimes that's not included in the discussion, because a lot of what people were pushing for airplane safety, it was still a little bit slow to take place. Knowing that hindsight is 20/20, I don't mean it as a blaming thing, but as a let's learn from this. And sometimes you just miss some serious warning signs that a lot of the problems, they don't just go away. And as it relates to the United States and Libya, those problems didn't just go away.